Hey, what's up, world, and welcome to episode 147 of the Take One podcast. I am your host, August C. Jones, and thank you guys for joining me. And today we got just quite a few things to talk about. We're going to talk about the Batman movie, the Matt Reeves Batman movie being more darker than any other previous installments of Batman that has ever been. As well as we're going to talk about Bad Boys 4 script being in the works. And I'm going to give my thoughts on the results for last night's WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view event. And then I'm going to do a review on the Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge animated movie. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into the first topic, which is the Batman being more darker. So a few outlets had basically covered this, but Andy Serkis did an interview in London-based outlet Lad Bible, and he basically just confirmed that the movie will be darker and all that stuff. When asked by the interviewer, would it be darker and broodier, he said that it's not too far from that. So basically it's going to be more of a darker approach, as well as he added that there is an emotional center within the movie with Alfred and Bruce. Andy Serkis plays Alfred in this movie, and as you know, Robert Pattinson plays Batman, and it's going to be more of a kind of like, I guess you could say it's going to be centered more on their relationship within that film, and I'm okay with it. And basically, yeah, this movie sounds like it's going to be good. It sounds like Matt Reeves is doing an amazing job with it, and from what Andy Serkis says, that he really loves the script. And I can't wait for this movie to come out. It's not going to be connected to any of the BVS universe or DCEU, however you want to put it. It's not going to be connected to the Superman, the Man of Steel movie, Justice League, Wonder Woman, and nothing like that. It's his own entity, just kind of like how Joker was. And I'm very curious to how they're going to do it. They have my girl Zoe Kravitz up in there as Selena Kyle, which I want to see how she comes off as that. But I mean, everything surrounding this looks crazy. With it being darker, I'm down with it. I don't think necessarily it's going to be R rating, but if it is an R rating, it's more than likely going to be due to just the violence in the movie. It's not probably going to be very like gory, gutsy and stuff like that. It's just more of just intense violence, kind of like when you look at, I guess you could say it puts it in the same realm of how BVS had that re-release and it was an R rating. It was more of just the violent parts of it, and I think that's where it's going to be. It's not going to be a Deadpool type thing, or even it's more than likely not going to be like Harley Quinn with the cursing and stuff. They probably might have a few like F-bombs or a couple F-bombs jumped up in there, but I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. But with the emotional center that they said that they were going to have with the movie with Alfred and Bruce, I'm okay with that. I am really okay with that. We seen different, movies do the relationship between Alfred and Bruce. It was done up in the early 90s, Batman films. Done well, not really. Alfred wasn't really a big focused character within those movies, but with the Christopher Nolan films, he plays more of a bigger role with the character. And even up in the BVS universe, Jeremy Irons played more of a bigger role than he was previously put in like the 90s Batman films and stuff. So it seems like they're trying to elevate certain characters and bring them more to light, and I'm really am okay with that. And Serkis said that like he was halfway through shooting his parts and all that stuff when the production got shut down. So he's kind of interested on how things is going to pick up once everything goes back to where they're able to shoot. And I just hearing this is, I mean, with the stuff that's going on, you want to hear good news. You want to hear good news, and this is good news coming out of this production. So hopefully it can go back into production sometime soon and get this movie out to us next year, because it went from a July 25th, 2021 release to October 1st of next year. So We don't really have too much longer. It's about a year or so, like from now, so we can. It's not too much long of a wait. But I am curious to see how all this is going to play out. And so the next topic is Bad Boys 4 script is in the works. So spoiler warning, if you have not seen Bad Boys for Life, this will give a spoiler to how it ends. So if this title or just this subject hasn't given it away, that basically is going to continue. Now, if you've seen Bad Boys for Life, you already know that neither one of the guys died. Will Smith's character nor Martin Lawrence's character, and that we find out that he has a son within this new film or whatnot. And it seems like it was trying to introduce some of the younger generation. Like, this franchise isn't going to just stop at the Bad Boys movies. That it's going to, well, it's not going to stop with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, that they're essentially going to hand the baton over. And this movie was essentially that happening. That if they go from here, it's more than likely going to change after Bad Boys 4, or whatever the title they're going to give it, if they're not going to call it Bad Boys 4. But you have the team that helped, Will Smith's character, what's his name? Mike Lowry. That helped Mike with trying to figure out what he was trying to figure out in the movie and all that stuff. They didn't really play a major part in the movie, but if they make a fourth movie, that's more than likely going to change. They're more than likely going to have a bigger role within the fourth film, which may end up spawning a spinoff with those characters, as well as Will Smith's son. He's more than likely going to play another character, because if you've seen the end credit scene or the post credit scene, he basically was given a deal to his son to basically join him in furthering whatever they was going to do. And so more than likely there's going to be a whole team up. I don't know if Martin Lawrence is going to have a big role, but more than likely it's going to be a pass the baton thing on to the younger generation, where he's going to give it on to them, and then from then on it's going to be something different. But currently right now we have no details as to what this movie is involved in and who's going to return, and just what the plot or anything else is going to be. But it's just basically just in the works. They're more than likely figuring everything out, writing the script right now. So I'm curious, like, after seeing the third one, because I like the whole franchise. All three of the movies I really did like. But I'm really curious to see where they're going to go with this. What they're going to do. I feel like they're going to go Fast and Furious route, just like they did in this movie. That they're going to go with that type of action. And I'm really looking forward to it. I am. And with Bad Boys for Life being very successful critically and financially, it's a no-brainer that they're going to basically come out sometime this year and be like, yo, Bad Boys 4 is in the works. We got Martin and Will Smith returning. We got everybody else returning that was in Bad Boys for Life and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to go forward with doing like a franchise and seeing where we can go with the future. And I'm very curious to see how it's going to turn out. All right, so before we get into the results and my thoughts on the WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view, I wanted to quickly get out the way everything that's new to rent on the stream. So it's not that many movies that's coming out for digital release. Actually, premium VOD this Friday is Scoob. There's nothing really, big titles coming out tomorrow for digital release. But for physical release, we have Birds of Prey, The Call of the Wild, Fantasy Island, and The Photograph, which is all coming for physical releases tomorrow, May 12th. So if you haven't seen those movies and you want to kind of get reviews, I have reviews for all of those movies, well, except for Scoob. All of those movies on my channel. You can go ahead and look that up. I'm going to put it in the link in the description below. And those are your movies for rent, own, or stream starting tomorrow. And with that said, let me go ahead and jump right into the next topic. So last night, WWE's Money in the Bank 2020 pay-per-view event took place, which with everything that's going on with WWE, and just with the world. It's been basically recorded back last month, I think around the 15th or whatnot. And so this is just a pre-recorded, pay-per-view event and everything else. How did it shape out? Man, I'm not going to get too detailed into it because I'm not trying to make this show just crazy long. But it was relatively a short show. Like, it wasn't lengthy like how it usually be with the crowd and everything else. This show was really condensed. It went off at an early time, but it basically, I'm going to just run through these matches. But the one I'm going to give more, like, detail to is the Money in the Bank ladder matches, since that is the theme of the pay-per-view event. I didn't see the pre-show match, but it was Hardy versus Cesaro, and Hardy wins. Then the actual first match of the pay-per-view event of the official main card was New Day as the champs versus Miz and Morrison versus Lucha House Party versus the Forgotten Sons, and New Day retains. And after that, it was originally Truth versus MVP, but Lashley came in to replace MVP just because, and basically just told MVP, like, he got this, go ahead, take the night off. And Truth just kind of basically tried to talk himself out of it, said he deserved a night off too, but Lashley wouldn't let him, and he was trying to explain to him, just basically just some stuff, how R-Truth is, and accidentally smacks him, which causes Lashley to lash out. And with all awkward puns aside, Lashley wins. And then later, Truth has an interview, and he basically puts out that his sights is on getting back the 24/7 title, in which he can't get the name right, and thinks that Tom Brady has it, and he declares that he is coming to get it. So I'm curious to see where that's going to go. So after that, Bayley put her title on the line against Tamina, and not surprisingly, Bayley wins with the help of Sasha Banks. And might I add, Sasha Banks looked sexy as fuck. Like, she is just incredibly sexy, and I enjoyed watching this match just clearly at the sight of Sasha. And Bayley didn't look too bad at all either. Both of them was good, but Sasha was just, just something about her. But after that, it was Strowman and Wyatt for the WWE Championship, in which Strowman retains. But there was quite a few things that happened up in here. The puppets were in the crowd at one point to embrace Braun, because it looked like Braun was coming back to Bray Wyatt and basically just joining him again, but that was just leading him into a false sense of security, in which he lifted him up for a running power slam and basically ends the match. After that, it was Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins, and Rollins at one point wanted to use the chair, but ended up changing his mind, which sent it to a back and forth between both opponents. And that's when McIntyre took the victory and retained the championship. And it was a pretty good match. I just say one of the better matches of the night. But all that aside, the bread and butter of this pay-per-view event was the Money in the Bank ladder match, or matches, because we had a women and a men's ladder match taking place at the exact same time, or it was filmed to make it look like it was taking place at the exact same time. Certain things you could tell was shot in certain ways. It was kind of like one of those cinematic type matches or whatnot. But it was, I guess you could say, the better type match of the night. Like, I really did enjoy it. I thought at one point they was going to have a side by side, but they chose not to do that, but to just go where, they were following this match and then go to that match and then go to that match, and it was just like a back and forth. And throughout the night, they basically met up to where the men and the women were, kind of like in the same room fighting, not each other, but, just fighting in their respective matches and everything else, fighting all the way to the top. The men's match started out in the gym room with everybody coming in and saying what they're saying and all that stuff for the entrances. And Corbin at one point threw a weight at the mirror and stares at it for some reason. I don't know why. He just stared at it. like he knew that he was in trouble with Triple H for doing that, or he just realized that he left the oven on. But in any case, after that, Styles gets a weight put down on him by Otis and left there. And Styles tried to reach out for Ray, tell him to help, ask him to help him, and Ray just like thought about it, but then he just decided not to, which got Styles heated. And with that, the women's match took place in the lobby area. And just put it out there. Not only did Sasha look good tonight, Carmella looked equally as delicious as Sasha Banks did. And that's just, I don't know, that's just something with me. But as all the women came in, Asuka's music played, but everybody was looking around like, where's Asuka? Finding out that Asuka was above them on the top floor and basically just acting super charismatic and just looking like she was just having hella fun, but then jumps down on the women, taking them out, and then taking the elevator up where nobody was able to stop her from getting in there or stop the elevator from closing and all that stuff. And then on top of that, we have other cameos throughout the night with this match. Brother Love made an appearance. It was like a random appearance where he was in the bathroom while Ray was going past, and basically tells Ray that he loves him. Ray tells him, like, I love you too, but I gotta go. And runs off, and Brother Love washes his hands, which everybody should do. I've seen a lot of people who I work with not do that, or a few guys I work with not do that, and it's just plain disgusting. But then we get a cameo from Doink the Clown, which kind of looked it off, but I guess, whatever. And then we go over to the women's match taking place within the Money in the Bank conference room, in which Dana Brooke grabs the wrong case thinking that she's won it, which I'm looking at, I'm like, I thought it was like, this can't be the end. Like, nah, something seemed off. And then we have an appearance, a cameo by Stephanie McMahon, which you can tell that she wasn't there. She was not there. That they had to take it place at separate different times and separate different places, but they put it together to make it seem like she was there and told Dana Brooke that that's not the case, that she needs to get is up on the roof, that, you know, she needs to keep going. After that, she gets hit in the head with a picture of Carmella winning the Money in the Bank ladder match. As Carmella goes out, she gets hit with the women's right. And then even also up in that same room, we get Shayna as well as Nia have a face-to-face in which they basically go at it, which that's more than likely going to lead to something. AJ is still haunted by the Undertaker match, or just the Undertaker period, when he goes down the hall and he sees a big picture of the Undertaker and stops, and the door opens and he sees a room with a casket, and it's the blue lighting and mist, or, you know, fog or whatever, just kind of like what, you know, we associate with the Undertaker. And he basically kind of like stops in fears when Aleister Black knocks him into the room and closes the door with him up in it. Next, we get the Paul Heyman at catering by himself with a whole bunch of food for some reason about to eat, when both the matches like meet up and just start arguing with each other and everything else. And then worst comes to worst, a food fight erupts where Otis basically throws a plate of food up in Paul Heyman's face, which more than likely might lead to something else. And Otis, after that, finds himself in the cafeteria looking for more food when he grabs up a pie and sees John Laurinaitis there doing the people power thing, which I truly hate. And he throws the pie up in John Laurinaitis' face, which I loved. Then after that, Styles and Bryan fight into Vince's office, in which Vince is just pissed. And he tells them to get out. So they go ahead and get out. And promptly after that, Vince, he puts in the sanitizer, and he gets back to work when all the match carries on. The women take it to the top first, with Lacey and Nia making it to the ring and fighting it out. And Nia goes to get the case, but is stopped by Asuka, in which basically they go back and forth. And Asuka goes up to get the briefcase, as well as Corbin goes in the ring to go get his briefcase, but for some reason tries to stop Asuka. Like, I don't understand why. Corbin is doing some of the weirdest shit in this match. from just staring at the mirror after he threw the weight into it to trying to stop Asuka from grabbing the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, which he has no stake when they literally both could have just grabbed both the cases at that point. But I guess they needed a reason why Corbin couldn't grab his, but that was just a stupid ass reason. But Asuka knocks him off with a slap and a kick. And Asuka wins the women's Money in the Bank ladder match or whatever, grabs the briefcase. And at this point, I didn't realize that there wasn't any commentary until after this match. That's when you hear Michael Cole's voice and them saying that, like, oh, she won it, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, it goes back to the cinematic. I don't know why I keep about to say that. The cinematic type of form of the match, where Otis gets in the ring and breaks the bottom step as he tries to climb the ladder. And then Corbin goes at him. Corbin then throws later on Ray and Aleister Black off the roof with a weird sound effect, which I'm not truly understanding if it was supposed to mean that he threw him off the thing, off the whole building, in which that case I don't believe that we're going to get any more appearances from Aleister Black and Rey Mysterio. But in any case, Styles and Corbin fight over the case at the last point, which Elias come and hit Corbin with the guitar, and Styles grabs the case, but he fumbles it down, which I did predict that it was going to happen. I did predict this, that he fumbled the case and he ends up dropping it, in which Otis catches it. And he wins the Money in the Bank ladder match, which after that, not even like 10 seconds later, they go off the air. And this was really an entertaining ass match. I really did enjoy it. I don't know, like this basically, I feel like with them doing cinematic matches like this, it's going to open the doors to doing more of this in the future. Hopefully they don't try and go overboard with it once everything starts to come back to where they can have crowds and stuff like that. But these cinematic matches have been entertaining, especially this match. I really did like it. I felt like they probably could have had more cameos, but with what they was working with, I really did enjoy it. I didn't expect the cameos, but they did make it a little bit, better. And I did like the humor that they injected into this match. And just from beginning to end, it was entertaining. It really was. This is a match that I feel like anybody could probably, especially if you like it, you probably go back and rewatch it again. I rewatched it for a second time to try and catch stuff that I missed, but I enjoyed it the second time around, and I thought that they did really good. As far as a pay-per-view event, altogether, it was pretty good. It was pretty decent. Like I said, besides the Money in the Bank ladder matches, the Drew McIntyre and Rollins match, and even the Braun and Bray Wyatt match, I really did enjoy. But I really did like how delicious Sasha and Carmella looked tonight. But besides that, yeah, it was a pretty decent pay-per-view event, and I really did like it. Now, with a review to end off the podcast, I am going to be talking about Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. So, this is an animated film that is about, like, just the origins of Scorpion and how he became to be, as well as it is a retelling of the Mortal Kombat story. And this is a movie that is not to be shown to little kids because it is bloody and gory as hell, and definitely just not a movie that you would want them to see, because it honestly just, I wasn't prepared for how bloody it was, but it is crazy bloody. But that is one of the things that threw me off about this movie, is that when you look at the game as compared to this, the game is bloody as hell. I mean, that's just the concept of just, Mortal Kombat. That's what it delivers. When you hear Mortal Kombat, you think blood, guts, cutting people up. You think about all that stuff. But for some reason, it seemed right in the game. But when you look at this movie, it just, I don't know, it seemed like it was just it was just too bloody for its own good. It was bloody for bloody's sake, and it was just, a lot of it was just unnecessary. And that was it. I don't know, I guess it didn't bother a lot. It may not bother certain people, but it kind of bothered me that it was just like they just wanted to go bloody for the hell of it, and it just seemed kind of out of place. I don't know if I'm just explaining it right, but it really didn't come off too well. But some of the lines of dialogue were very cheesy and bad. Like with movies like this, that's the one thing I hate. And it's not even just this movie. It's DC movies I've seen, like animated DC films I've seen, where it just the dialogue for some reason, even though they're meant for, you know, kind of like young adults and older, you know, and like teens and stuff like that, and even like people like as old as me, it's like you can still step up the dialogue. It was just, the dialogue was just, oh, I don't know. I just kind of hate that kind of aspect of these animated films. And it has a bit of good humor, but it didn't necessarily hit most of the time. And just Goro in this film looked about as scary as he did in the live action film, and he scared the hell out of me in the live action film. And I just kind of got glimpses and just that feeling of just how I felt upon seeing Goro when I was younger in the live action film. So just with the design of his character in this animated film was done actually pretty well. And the fights were fine, but I'm not a big fan of certain animated fights and like how it was done in this movie. I wish that the fights, even in this animated form, could have looked more realistic and way better than it came off in this movie. It just didn't completely work for me. Because like they was just doing crazy stuff that it was like, this was not logical. But I mean, we're talking about a cartoon. You know, we're talking about works of fiction. But still in the same case, the fights did throw me off in that type of aspect. But I really did like the animation style. But the over-exaggeration of the muscular physiques of the characters really did stand out, and just really not in a great way. And this movie does utilize the X-ray hits, you know how we got up in the Mortal Kombat games where, you know, you make not like a fatal blow, but like a hard blow, and then you see the bones cracking and stuff. They utilize it all throughout here, which I didn't have a problem with it. And then we do get a cameo from Natara, in one scene, and that's really about it. You don't see a fight or anything else, but it was just like a throwaway cameo. And of course, everyone knows the story of Mortal Kombat, so this ain't even a spoiler, but the ending does lead to the creators possibly setting up more animated Mortal Kombat films. That if they do, hopefully they can fix the dialogue and just how it looks, but more than likely they're going to keep the same design style of the animation and all that stuff. But hopefully they can fix certain things of the movie. But another thing, I really did think that Scorpion's story, even though it does go hand in hand with the tournament and it kind of leads up to it, like his storyline and all that stuff, but I felt like it just could have been a Scorpion movie, that they could have added more elements of his life and not a combination of the main Mortal Kombat storyline. I felt like since it is, you know, Scorpion's story, keep it there. Don't have a mixture. You could have just had another movie that was just a Mortal Kombat retelling of the Mortal Kombat storyline and went from there. But other than that, the movie was okay. It was a miss for me. There was a lot of things that went against it that I really didn't find entertaining. But overall, even though it's a miss for me, I still think if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, it's worth checking out. And so, with all that said, that ends off the podcast. I'd like to thank you guys for joining me. And if you like what you've heard, go ahead and hit that thumbs up and subscribe and hit the notification bell and check out everything else I have on my channel. And other than that, I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.